Well, the customer did decide to have me just go ahead and change all 9 electrolytic capacitors in the unit. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and mark all the negative sides so I can get them back in the same orientation, because sometimes the silk screening on the board is incorrect. Okay, all 9 electrolytic capacitors have been marked. Let's go ahead and zip them off the board and install some brand new ones. Okay, all 9 capacitors are off the board. Let's go ahead and pop some new ones in place. Okay, all capacitors have been replaced. Well, with the exception of the big 2 electrolytic capacitors. So there they are, sitting pretty. Take a quick look. Make sure that the negatives align with the marks that I put on the board. And they do, as far as I can tell. Looks really good. Well, next step, let's go ahead and fold the STK chip back over and reinstall it back together and give it a final test. I think I'm going to go ahead and retension those leads that I've had problems with in the past as well. Plus, we'll go ahead and shoot these 2 pots with some Deoxit just to make sure everything's going to be good. All right, all reassembled, ready to go. Heatsink is remounted on there. STK chip is attached to the heatsink. Now don't forget the spacer that you see right here. It's a very important part. That spaces the terminals away from the face of the STK chip. You can see the second one down in there as well. If you're tearing this thing apart, it goes screw, lock washer, flat washer, fiber washer, other fiber washer, STK chip, chassis, and then heatsink. Now over here on this side, it starts the same screw, lock washer, flat washer, fiber washer, and then aluminum standoff, chassis, and then heatsink. Okay, so next I just want to add a little bit of extra pre-tension to these connectors. These connections feed the power transformer, and just a little flat blade screwdriver, just try to stick it in there, get it behind it. And you can see I tighten that one up just a little bit. Do it on both sides. Don't worry if it's not perfectly round. When you plug it back in, the center pin's going to push it back out. Plus it'll help it to make extra contact. There we go, that looks good. Next we'll do the 9-pin Molex connector. All right, those look much better. Now let's go ahead and do the one remaining pin that mates with this pin that's on the chassis. All right, that one looks much better. So I think we're at the point where we can put this thing back together, fire it up, and see if it still works. Okay, I have the unit completely reassembled, connected, and I'm going to go ahead and put it into my homemade dummy load. This is a 100 watt RMS 8 ohm dummy load with non-inductive resistors. And so if you look in the back here, you can kind of see the two big non-inductive resistors down here. These are specifically made for audio loads. And so what this jack is right here, there's a potentiometer right here. This is a 150 ohm 2 watt potentiometer. And it has a, I think it's a 100 ohm resistor in series from the positive to the hot side of the wiper. And then the low side of the wiper just goes to ground, which is the ring or the negative terminal. The center terminal actually feeds this jack. So I can drive a receiver into this at high volume levels and listen at a moderate level depending upon where I set this. It's just like an L pad basically. But it's what I had on hand, so that's what I'm using. So let me get this thing connected and we'll try to drive this thing with some power and make sure it works okay. Okay, here we go. Got the MP3 player playing. Definitely getting some bass. So we're driving up to just over 1 amp AC input right now, because this thing only has a 2 amp AC input fuse. So we're pushing it to at least probably 75% of the fuse rated capacity, so probably 1.5 amps on the peaks right here. The low pass filter is working. But that's going to be it. It was sent in for no audio. I never actually found the no audio issue, but I did go ahead and replace all 9 of the electrolytic filter caps on the main board, with the exception of the 2 power supply filter caps that tested absolutely perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and box it up, ship it back to my customer, and hopefully he'll have many more years of use out of it. I'll also give him some instructions on how to test the voice coils of his speakers. This unit does have 2 speakers, and it's possible they're just both open. So in case some of you are wondering, yes, there is a second speaker jack right here. Now it actually parallels the first speaker, and I'll show you the ohm test before I wrap this thing up. Okay, so here's the terminals that connect to the upper speaker, and then this connector right here connects to the lower speaker. And so there's a red and a black here and a red and a black. And I'm going to show you that, remember when I had the other AMK with the 2 12-inch subwoofers, that one of them was installed upside down, and they do that for a reason. So if I go positive to positive, I just get a high resistance reading, 780K and charging. But if I go positive to negative, I should get close to 0 ohms. And I get 0.2 ohms, 0.1 ohms. So if I go negative to negative, I should get a high resistance value, and I do, 2 megs. But if I go negative to positive, I should get 0 ohms, and I do, and that tells me that they are connected in parallel. But that's going to be it. The Miller and Kreisel MX-125. Sent in for no sound. Didn't find that problem. Did find some bad capacitors, 2 of them specifically. Customer opted to have all 9 of them changed. I did give him the option of sending the unit back, no changes, changing just the 2 bad ones, or changing all 9. He opted to change all 9. Go ahead and leave me a question, a comment, a concern down below, good or bad. I try to respond to the comments when I have time. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at NorCal715. You can email me, NorCal715videos@gmail.com. Remember, with your help, we can try to keep these things out of the landfill, out of the recycle bin, and out of the e-waste facility. Everybody, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I really do appreciate it. Everyone have a great day. And once again, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.